Hey listeners, will AI replace you as a leader? Well, that's the question on some people's mind right now. Some say AI is just a tool, and others are saying it's a ticking clock counting down to the end of leadership as we know it. This is what I think, that AI isn't replacing leaders, but leaders who fail to adapt, they will be replaced. So in today's episode, I'm diving into what people around the world are saying about this, and I'll share what you can do to stay relevant and not become irrelevant in the age of AI. Let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos.
Welcome to the Ask Dennis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners or share my thoughts, experiences, and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey listeners, well, welcome to today's episode. And what an interesting question, huh? Will AI replace my role as a leader? Very interesting. And there's a whole lot of information out there in the internet and around the world, and talking to people in boardrooms or in actual meeting rooms or one-on-one as well. And I want to start off by something that sort of grabbed headlines recently. A former Google executive, Mo Gaudat, predicted that AI could replace even CEOs. Now, he warned of what he called a job apocalypse by 2027. With AI outperforming humans in the white-collar jobs at every level, including the C-suite. He even went on so far to say the belief that AI will create new jobs is, quote, 100% crap, end of quote. That's a technical quote that he used there. So he thinks that's rubbish. He thinks that's not going to happen. Now, that's controversial and is designed to get attention for the articles and so forth. But it does raise an interesting question. If AI can replace the most senior leaders, what does that mean for you and I? At the same time, global studies from McKinsey, MIT, BCG, known as Boston Consulting Group, and the World Economic Forum, they all tend to paint a more balanced picture. They show that AI is transforming roles, but are not erasing them entirely. Now, the data, it's pretty clear. AI is automating tasks, but it's not replacing the essence of leadership. So what is actually changing for leaders? Well, what is actually happening in organizations today is that AI is already taking over routine tasks. It's already happening. Things like writing meeting notes or summarizing a meeting and coming up with the action items, preparing performance summaries, creating draft budgets, analyzing reports. There's just a few things to sort of talk about right now, but that just to name them, right? The administrative workload that's normally and traditionally taken hours to do, AI is now able to do it within minutes. However, here's the shift or the different way of looking at things. Leadership roles are being reshaped. So instead of acting as what I call communication channels, so that's shipping messages between different levels of the organization, leaders, they're being freed up now to focus on things like strategy or coaching their people, innovation and culture. In other words, the way I look at it is, that's the stuff that they should be doing anyhow. Now, what research is showing is that organizations are also flattening a lot more. So the hierarchy It's being flattened, so there's fewer layers and there's more focus on leaders who can think critically, make decisions quickly, and inspire their teams. Now, let's be clear. There are things that AI can't do. It can't set a very strong and compelling vision for the organization or for your team. It can't build trust. It can't handle conflict in a way that's respectful. And it can't create or protect culture. Now, that's just a few of the things to talk about, but these are the things that sort of make leadership unique, and they make it uniquely human. And so there's some things for you to think about. Now, the question is, so is AI replacing leaders? And the evidence is starting to show no. What it is doing is that it's actually reinventing the roles. So according to the World Economic Forum, nearly 40% of the skills that matter in leadership today will change by 2030. So that's not too far away. 40%. So if you think about it, if you've got 10 skills in your toolkit, 4 of them will need to evolve or grow or develop. AI is powerful, but the buck stops with a human leader. So this isn't about replacement. It's about reinvention. The question isn't, will AI replace me? The question is, how will I evolve my leadership in a world where AI seems to be everywhere? Now, here's where it gets interesting, but also practical as well. How do you actually stay relevant? How do you make sure you don't get left behind? And how do you avoid becoming irrelevant as a leader? So I think the one area we need to talk about is it's a mindset shift. See AI as a partner, not a threat. Treat it like a capable junior colleague who handles the admin so you can focus on the high value work. Secondly, remember that more tech enters our workplaces, the more people will crave authentic human leadership. And that's your edge. So many years ago, I'm probably going to go back about 30 years ago, there used to be a saying that said this: high tech will need high touch. And that is, the more tech that you bring into an organization, things like AI and so forth, there is more need for that human, that high touch side of things as well. So it may have been said 30 years ago, but it's still relevant in today's world. Here are some practical actions you can take today. Number one would be, I'm going to encourage you to experiment with AI tools. Use them to prepare reports or generate first drafts or maybe even analyze some scenarios. But what I think you should do here is gain experience from trying them, but build fluency and so forth through the practice or giving it a go. Number two would be to redesign your role. So ask yourself these questions. What do I do that could be automated? Because I'm guaranteeing you right now, there's stuff that you're doing right now that you probably don't need to be doing, but AI could probably do it for you. And what could I be doing instead to create more value as a leader? Number three would be upskill yourself and your team. So I would start to think about learning how to learn things about prompts that you would need to use with AI. How do we verify? Well, how do we get data verification? What are some of the ethical guardrails that we might need to start thinking about and putting in place? Teach your people to work with AI and not fear it. Number four is really focus on those human strengths. Coaching, empathy, building trust, and ethical decision-making are now more valuable than ever. Number five, which is the final area, would be for you to stay curious. And if you've been listening to these episodes, I love that word, being curious, right? Or curious. Curiosity. Don't get stuck in the old ways. Keep exploring tools, attending events, reading, and asking questions. Curiosity is your insurance policy against relevance. In other words, stay up to date, stay on the cutting edge, and keep learning all the time from things. Now, I want to throw something at you as a challenge. If AI gave you back 2 extra hours every single week, in other words, you've used it to automate some things, now you've got 2 hours extra in your calendar spare, how would you reinvest that time as a leader? Would you coach your team more deeply? Would you think more strategically? Would you reconnect with some people that you may not have done for a while, in other words, networking and so forth? See, that choice is in front of you right now. You can sit back and fold your arms and go, no, I don't want to know this thing and I don't want to be part of it. Or you can be curious. And I think you could get even more time back using AI and my success hour method. Those two as a partnership can help you get more hours. The leaders that I work with, they're telling me that they're getting 6 to 8 hours a week back in their calendars. So the 2 hours, that'll be pretty cool. But what happens if it could be triple that, quadruple that? And what could you actually do with that time? So here's the bottom line from what I'm hearing and seeing globally. AI is not replacing leaders, but leaders who don't adapt, leaders who cling on to the old ways of working and thinking, risk being left behind. So who are going to be the winners in this new era? They're going to be the people who blend human judgment, vision, and trust with the power of AI. In other words, in partnership with AI. So here's your call to action this week. Pick one habit this week to adapt. Maybe it's trying out an AI tool for your prep work. Maybe it's blocking time for more face-to-face coaching conversations because AI has freed up your admin. Whatever it is, act on it. You know what? I'd love to hear from you about what do you think about this episode and that question about, will AI replace me as a leader? Will AI replace leadership roles, or will it simply redefine them? Hey, message me on, or DM me, in other words, direct message on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook Messenger, or even send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. Let's keep this conversation going because it's really quite appropriate for a lot of people. Hey, until next time, keep leading, keep adapting, and remember, leadership is changing. So must we. Hey, listeners, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Gianoutsos. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.